Good evening to you viewers. Welcome to join us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast. On Equinox Television, the 8 children were found in a forest in the village of Malimba, that is in the Sanaga Maritime Division, have today started classes at the Bepanda Rehabilitation Center, but the whereabouts of one of the missing children remains unknown. And also in this newscast, the results of the September 30 council elections have been published. The SDF loses control of the Douala 4 municipality in favor of the governing CPDM, and the platform of 4 fails to unseat the CPDM in the Douala 1 municipality. And of course, the symbolic presence of the MRC of Professor Maurice Kamto. These results and more in this newscast. Welcome once again, viewers, to join us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinox Television. As we announced in the headlines, the 8 children of the Malimba village who went missing that was recently have resumed classes today at the Rehabilitation Center in Bepanda, in the economic capital Douala. They left the Idea Regional Hospital that was yesterday and were ferried to the country's economic capital by the ministry or the Minister of Social Affairs. Let's have the details of that report with Pamela Ndukong.
The 8 children of the Malimba Snail Search Affair arrived the center since Thursday. It was on Friday that they started studies in a new environment at the Bepanda Rehabilitation Center in Douala. Teachers assured us that they were doing fine. At the center, boys are separated from girls, but they all study in the same classrooms. But school officials say they are lacking in teachers. Some school equipment are also lacking. This teacher explains that the school has just 4 teachers and it makes work difficult as they get up every day 5:30 to 6 p.m. in the evening. Minister Catherine Bakambok promised that her ministry will ensure the entire rehabilitation process of the children.
Is that I have been in Idea in Douala in order for me to have a follow-up of the take care of these children who have been found in the after their dispersion in Mwanko. And now we are in the social domain, which is a very long-term run domain, because you know that the taking care of psychological aspect is very long.
But leaving the village of Malimba for the Bepanda Center will not be an easy task for the parents. Off camera, the parents complain of distance and lack of finance to visit their offspring who study at the center.
The children to henceforth receive lessons at the Bepanda Rehabilitation Center here in the country's economic capital, Douala. Meantime, the whereabouts of one of the children who disappeared late August remains unknown. Reports say rescue teams have stopped their search after their efforts proved abortive. The one remaining missing child was 12 years old, and elders of the 9 children who went missing. The children were on a snail hunt in the forest. Some 8,000 students sat for the singular entrance examinations to state medical schools in the country. Only 800 students will be integrated into the 4 legal medical schools in Cameroon. Roland Akong in the following report tells us that the exams are coming after the close down of medical schools which failed to meet up the required standards. His report.
To give medical students the best quality of training in Cameroon, government has launched for the next academic year a singular entrance exam for all medical schools in the country. 800 students will be recruited and distributed to eligible public and private medical schools with adequate teaching infrastructures and qualified lecturers.
The Faculty of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences of the University of Yaoundé 1 will receive a number of students for medicine, for pharmacy, and for dental surgery. The Faculty of Health Sciences of the University of Buea will receive its own number. The Faculty of Health Sciences of the University of Bamenda will receive its own number. Before the rest that will remain, they will share them amongst the private higher education institutions that are training for that program.
Conditions for the competitive entrance are the same candidates used to register for regular entrance exams into medical schools in Cameroon.
The innovation we're going to see very soon is that application even is going to take place online, which is a good thing, depending on considering the fact that candidates are going to be applying from all over Cameroon. Checking corruption, it's a process that is going to be centralized, and I think the fact that it's going to be centralized, teachers will come from all over to grade the scripts. I don't see how it's possible for anyone to thwart the transparency that is going to characterize the process.
The exam is now organized by a single structure to be written in a single center. Deans and directors of eligible public and private medical schools in Cameroon will be part of the structure. This innovation comes after the closure of all medical schools in the country that do not meet with required standards.
Definitely before that happens, a list is going to be published of those schools that are eligible to receive candidates out of the competitive national entrance examination.
But what becomes of students already receiving medical training in clandestine medical schools in Cameroon?
So those that will be shut down, eventually the candidates are going to be sent elsewhere to better institutions than where they currently are.
Of course, the exams were written today. Thanks indeed, Roland Akon, for that report. Now, let's talk about the just-ended council elections, whose results were known or made public yesterday across the country. The Tiko subdivision which has been under the control of the ruling CPDM for 11 years, would now, or from hence, be under the SDF. The results of the twin elections, or the results of the council elections, were declared twice after the previous one, still in favor of the Social Democratic Front, were contested. Let's have the details of that report with Derek Jato.
Report said the municipal election result in Tiko subdivision was declared Tuesday, October 1st, by Justice Mbua Fricks, chairperson of the Supervisory Commission, and SDF scored 57.3%, CBDM 39.5%, and UNDP 3.2%. But today, Thursday, October 3rd, sources say the Tiko divisional officer had ordered that the result be read again.
Our district chairman, list leader for the SDF, had a call from the TO that official results will be read at 3 p.m. today. And he raised that the results had already been read by the chairperson of the Supervisory Commission.
When the Social Democratic Front militant got the news, they said the worst will happen if the initial result figures are altered.
If it is to set that fraud to continue, we need the youth to take away this country and go ahead.
I want SDF to rule this Tiko constituency.
Meantime, the results of the Buea subdivision were published. That was on Wednesday this week. In the Buea, the CPDM has maintained hold of the council after obtaining an absolute majority of the votes. Derek Jato once again tells us in the following report that the atmosphere at the regional delegation of elections Cameroon in the southwest region was that of calm and serene. His report.
At the Southwest Regional Delegation of Elections Cameroon, this population is waiting to hear the results of September 30 municipal election for Buea Council area. For the unforeseen, security forces were stationed in the yard. 66 minutes later, Justice Patience Tani, sitting in for Justice Bia Beatrice, chairperson of the Divisional Supervisory Commission, declared the result.
Vote cast in favor of SDF. 10,954, scoring 43.77%. Vote cast in favor of CPDM. 14,071, scoring 56.23%.
Celebrating even late into the night, the heads of the Buea CPDM municipal list, Chief Dr. Molenge David, thank all for the joint effort.
I'll say thank you to all the councillors who went out to their various communities to campaign for the CPDM. I say congratulations.
At the time that President Paul Biya is saying that he is also looking for when he will come to Buea for the 50th anniversary celebration, that had reminded the Buea Council as the landlord that it will be the Buea mayor to welcome Mr. Biya in Buea.
And in the Vori division, John Kumasi of the Social Democratic Front has been unseated from the Douala 4 municipality. The party, or the ruling CPDM political party, won the party of Nijon Frundi with 42% to take command of the council. For Hansen Chanji has the details of that report.
After waiting for the results from morning to about 11:30 p.m. at the Council Hall of Douala 4, President of the 12-man Council Supervisory Commission, Sami Theodore, finally broke the silence and announced the spectacular comeback of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM, to the Douala 4 Council.
RDPC, 30 sièges, SDF, 8 sièges.
The party of the Burning Flames scored a relative majority of 42.96% to flush out the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, from the council, with 30 councillors, after receiving 23,490 votes from the total 55,930. However, the SDF party was only flushed out of the hot seat of the mayor. They will still be part of the Douala 4 Council with 8 councillors. The party of Nijon Frundi scored 39.77%, 3% away from leaders. SDF received 21,726 votes. Newcomer, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, made a shocking participation in the elections. The CRM scored 6.56%, thereby grabbing 2 seats in the council, with a total vote of 3,582. Perhaps what is more shocking is the conspicuous presence of the Party for Social Renovation, PIOS, with 1 seat in the council, occupied by head of list Matomba Espoir. They received 3,155 votes with 5.78%. The Alliance for Progressive Forces, the APF, couldn't get a single seat with their 4.92% and 2,688 votes.
For Hansen Chanji, ending that report, meantime, the Social Democratic Front is now in control of the Douala Free municipality, which has been under the governing CPDM for 11 years now. The list, headed by outgoing Mayor Omaru Fadi, would occupy just 10 seats in the council after the SDF with 41 seats. The MRC of Professor Maurice Kamto follows with 7 seats, and then the UPC with just 3 seats. This time around in the Douala 1 municipality, the platform between the CDU, APF, UPC and CPP of Edith Kabanwala, as we announced in the headlines, has failed to unseat the ruling CPDM. Lenge Malapa remains the mayor of the Douala 1 municipality after the party won a majority of the votes with 30 seats. The Social Democratic Front is next with 5 seats, and then the CPP with 3 seats. And now we take you to the Mongo division, precisely in the town of Konsamba. The governing CPDM had won an absolute majority, with 62.34%. Let's have the details of that report with Jacques Ekwe.
El Aj Omaru has been re-elected to pilot the affairs of the Konsamba 1 Council for the next 5 years. The CPDM party won an absolute majority in the September 30 municipal elections, with a 62.34%, thereby grabbing all the 25 seats of the council. The other 2 parties in competition in this council included the SDF party, which had 28.39%, and the MDP, which recorded 9.59%. After the proclamation of the final results, the DO for Konsamba 1 municipality, Obaten Kong, used the occasion to appreciate the work done by the Election Supervisory Commission, which he affirmed as serious and professional. Meanwhile, the candidate of the MDP says some irregularities were recorded and the national president of the party will be charged to forward an appeal. El-Haj Umaru, who heads the list of the CPDM, was very satisfied, especially with the level of participation for the elections, which he says stands at 80%. He has also called on the entire population to work together with the new council executive to bring steady development to the Kongsamba 1 municipality. The highlight of the proclamation of results in the Kongsamba 1 Council was the family photographs that regrouped all the candidates who went in for the elections.
And this time around in the West region of Cameroon, the SDF has been unseated in the Bafoussam 1 and 3 councils. Both councils would hence be under the control of the CPDM after the party had an absolute majority. But the SDF has won over the Bafoussam 2 municipality after winning an absolute majority. We remain in that part of the country, that is the West region. The population of Bafang and Konjok have said that circulation in the area is practically difficult due to the bad state of roads. They said that development can only be a possibility in that part of the country if this ruling CPDM takes control of local council areas in Bafang and Konjok. Let's have the details of that report once again with Jacques Ekwe.
This is the road linking Bafang to Konjok. The population of these localities have been having nightmares when it comes to traveling. Traveling here can only be possible either using a Hilux or a four-wheel drive vehicle. The circulation of even vehicles at times becomes very impracticable due to the numerous gutters on the road. Passengers are sometimes forced to give a push to liberate the car stuck in the mud or finish the rest of their journey on foot. Konjok is very famous for its agricultural productions like plantains, cocoyams, potatoes, which are produced in industrial quantity, but the population remain in misery as their products cannot be transported to the ready markets in town. The inhabitants complain of the fact that the cost of transportation usually amounts to 10,000 francs CFA, especially during the rainy season. The inhabitants say they believe that the government is aware of their situation and will possibly solve their nightmare one day, reason why they voted for the ruling party in the last twin elections.
That was the situation, that is of course the situation in Bafang and Konjok in the West region of Cameroon. Let's come back to the new political configuration that is now in the country that has so far witnessed a slight change just after the twin elections, precisely the results of the municipal elections. The CPDM is still occupying several council areas across the country, followed by the SDF and then the NUDP political party of Bello Boba Maigari. But there is the symbolic emergence of the MREC of Professor Maurice Kamto, like we announced in the headlines. Ambe Fokwa has the rundown of these statistics.
In the nation's capital in the Nfundi division, the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement CPDM secured the Yaoundé 1 subdivision with a unanimous 70.83% of the electorate. The entire nation's capital was dominated by the ruling party in the municipal balloting. The SDF won the Douala 3 subdivision with 35.11% of the votes to secure 41 council seats, rivaled by the CPDM, which took 10 council seats with 34.07%. In the other constituencies of the Wuri division, the ruling party took hold of the Douala 1, 2, 4, and 5 councils. In the Douala 3 subdivision, the MRC coming into the political arena arrived third place with 22.26%, taking 7 seats. The party was also able to win 2 council seats in the Douala 4 subdivision. Despite SDF Chairman Nijon Frundi stating prior to the polling that his party would welcome President Biya during the 50th anniversary of the reunification commemoration in Boya, the CPDM won the council in the constituency with 56.23% of the electorate. The SDF did, however, take the Tico subdivision with 57.3% of the votes. The UNDP, true to its grassroots, dominated the Ngandere 1 and 2 councils with 46.32% and 46.84% respectively. It was followed by the CPDM in second place, which secured the Ngaoundé 3 council for itself with 36.16% of the electorate, taking 22 seats, leaving the UNDP 4 seats in that particular district. The ruling party rose in the Mizam division to take the Bamenda 1 council from the SDF, which was able to hold fast to the Bamenda 2 and 3 councils. The council in Bafoussam will be divided by the CPDM with 44 seats, the SDF with 15 seats, and the MRC with 5 seats. The council in Fumban was maintained by the UPC with the absolute majority.
That is the new political configuration in the country put together by Ambe Fokwa. Thanks indeed for that report. We take you right away to news out of our national boundaries. The Italian government has called on the European Union to do more to help it deal with the refugee arrivals. The statement came after a boat carrying migrants sank in the Silicon Island, leaving 92 dead and about 300 believed to be missing. Let's have the details of that report with Franz Venkat.
Carrying the bodies of the dead, the hearses roll out of the Lampedusa port. On Friday morning, hundreds more of the shipwrecked migrants were still missing. Local coastguards have another busy day ahead.
Today, the operations we plan to carry out are focused on searching inside the ship, where bodies are trapped. We don't know exactly how many bodies are still there.
All day Thursday and into the night, rescue workers scoured the waters off the coast of Lampedusa. Exhausted after hours stranded at sea, those still alive have barely enough strength to haul themselves aboard. Safely ashore, they recount their experiences to humanitarian officials.
They set a blanket on fire to make a signal, but some gasoline on the boat caught light, and the water caused the fire to spread. They were scared. Everyone moved onto one side of the boat, so the boat capsized.
Lampedusa residents also joined in the rescue effort, local fishermen sailing out to those still clinging to pieces of wreckage. Many locals are angry about the numbers of migrants arriving and that fatal accidents have become all too frequent.
It cannot continue like before, otherwise there will be other bodies again in the future.
In Rome, these senators joined Italians across the country in observing a minute's silence. Outside, flags fly at half-mast in what the Pope dubbed a day of tears.
On that note, we come to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Thanking you for having joined us. But before we go, the 8 children who were found missing in the forest or who were found in the forest in the village of Malimba in the Sanaga Maritime Division have today resumed classes at the Bepanda Rehabilitation Center. But the whereabouts of one of them remains a mystery. And also in this newscast, we talked about the results of the just proclaimed results of the just ended council elections in Cameroon that have been published. The Social Democratic Front loses control of the Douala 4 municipality in favor of the ruling CPDM, and the platform of 4 fails to unseat the CPDM in the Douala 1 municipality. And of course, we talked about the symbolic presence of MRC of Professor Maurice Kamto. We thank you so much once again for having joined us. Good evening and have a wonderful weekend in the campaign of our programs.